cartoon form, they'll go, ha, ha.
Art is a biological reflex. No mystery, no magic.
I was trying to do magic. I mean, I wanted to do magic. That's what animation's all about.
Art is threatening for cynics.
Our world has become more and more a cartoon world.
People that are interested in arranging lots of pictures that are only going to be on air for a 24th of a second into a line without being entirely sure what the result's going to be have to be a peculiar set of people.
Designer, or one of those arty, long-haired fairies, like ballet dancers.
I regard animation as an extremely anal retentive activity.
I'm a designer. Actually, I was born to be a designer. I'm a Virgo, you see, though I did a bit of painting and a bit of window dressing first.
The animator is in control of those characters, and if you can't empathise with your character, your animation looks wooden.
Skiing. Dancing. And diving.
Well, spontaneity is out the window. You've got to have spontaneity.
Come on! Open fire! Open fire!
That's great, Count. Just great.
Perhaps we used to build pyramids in past lives. They're stupid.
In the beginning, there was man. His only form of pleasure came from fighting his enemies.
No, Gus, what was your intellectual motivation for Freddo the Frog?
Next, please.
For the first time in my life, I've met more than 3 Australian animators at one time.
Animation was really born with magic lanterns. While they moved them, they finally made ways of making these bits of paper and things animate at least a little bit. Well, there was all kinds of scopes, rectoscope and bushoscope, and you mentioned it, magnoscope, and they were all rather through a sort of a telescopic thing to look at. Technique developed, of course it did. I knew, of course, of Harry Julius because he made his name on the Bulletin and Smith's Weekly. And he had the Harry Julius Studios. That was a very well-known name. Harry wasn't called an animator. He was called a lightning sketch artist. It was a novelty. It was something that just came in now and then. Little by little, one image at a time. And it all went together and it became animated. animator produced Felix the Cat, which was a worldwide and world-renowned cartoon. True, it was all done in America, but the animation was better than anything that had been done previously anywhere in the world. And don't forget, it was years before Disney. Pat Sullivan turned Felix the Cat into an international phenomenon. No other Australian animator has got the world acclaim that he's got. But during the 20s, later 20s, it started to begin to develop, and soon the Disney influence came in, which changed the whole scene, not just in America, but all over the world. The whole style of cartoons for screen changed.
What is that one? Let's see what he's doing. Oh. Hey! At a time. Good. Now the next drawing. That's right. Keep going. Look, he's moving, he's moving.
Every day you'll see me swing along, hear me sing a song, and if things go wrong, I don't care. I'm Willie the Wombat. I can't work and slave all out, leave no time to play. I'm not made that way, no, not me. I'm Willie the Wombat.
Eric Porter has to be the #1 genius behind animation in Australia.
Along and sing my song, my heart full of joy. Life's too short to crave and stint yourself, put things on the shelf, order.
We were not used to seeing animated films made in Australia. So Eric Porter and others of this period were obviously fighting for something they believed in a great deal. I mean, even if it was a whim, they were still working hard because the chances of their films being exhibited in a fair and proper manner was very slim indeed.
Benny Bear, you make me sick, saving all the day. You spend your whole life saving up. Why not come and play? Why don't you leave me alone? Can't you see I've got too much to do? I can't afford to waste my time. That's all you think about. When winter comes and food is scarce, you'll be the one without.
that was the idea, to do Australian stuff. Wombats and koalas and things, kangaroos are natural for animation.
Orb Stapleton isn't here, which is a shame. Orb Stapleton was background artist in those days.
It doesn't matter what you put up on the screen. If it's a good gag and a good storyline, it'll go. People will like it.
I've yet to meet a millionaire animator.
All the really weird ideas come out of just having you see one frame or one idea and you sit down there and where's it going to go?
If you've got imagination, then you can make great cartoons.
Working as Owen Brothers, I worked closely with my brother Harry, and we worked very closely, and I used to do the animation, and my brother used to do the backgrounds. I couldn't go down to the newsagent and buy a book on animation because there weren't any, so what you did, it was just trial and error, and figure it out for yourself. The first experimental film was The Old Tree. That was probably made in around about 1938. It was like a hobby. We enjoyed doing it, and we had great pleasure in being able to put a few lines to celluloid and see it come to light when it's developed and projected.
Make them waste their money. Make them spend.
Oh, yes, it was a very serious time. And the information that we had, a lot of it came from overseas because it had to match up with the loan films that were being made in America and England.
Go on. Spend all you can. Come on. It doesn't help the war effort a bit.
And England chose to squanderbug. It runs right through the newspapers. And in America, of course, it was great things. It was the back the attack was another one. A V for Victory was one, and Wheels of Industry.
We must have munitions.
Victory is in your pay envelope.
Back the attack. We must have tanks.
We enjoyed making it, but it was very serious in those days. Everybody had to make the best they could do in the war effort.
Disney did a lot of political stuff. Oh, he did a lot of
Victory through Air Power.
all that sort of
Same as the Iron Brothers sort of material.
Yeah, but that was good political stuff. And I don't know what the Russians have done, but the Russians certainly would have done it.
How to kill people without getting your hands dirty.
Incidentally,
that Donald Duck cartoon, In the Führer's Face. Every Stalin was supposed to have loved Disney, wasn't it?
Of course, there was a lot of propaganda in live-action films in those days.
A matter of getting used to what you served up. People those days didn't realise they were getting propaganda, but we are getting a different kind of propaganda.
Where does reality and illusion end? That's the point.
You must meet Bertie the Aeroplane, and what a plane. He's only a youngster, really, but boy, could he fly. He was the pride of the aerodrome. His takeoffs were something to marvel at. Yes, sir, his flying ability was enough to put a seagull to shame. I'd like to tell you how this little fellow solved a problem that was worrying the whole world for a long time. He was flying along in the ordinary way when he found himself slap bang in the middle of a terrific storm. Lightning nearly finished him.
I can remember those films being shown at the cinemas frequently. I think they were always shown just at the end of interval, before we got the trailers or announcements of coming attractions. They'd show something like that.
Very scared, he flew out of the storm, and there it was. He'd never seen one of those before. It was a flying saucer, and then another. Then suddenly 4 of them chased him. Hey, Bertie, don't be afraid. Don't let me down now. Catch one of those things if you can. The whole world wants to know their secret. That's the boy. Now we'll soon know what the flying saucer really is. Well, the saucers are full of aeroplane jellies.
I remember quite vividly at a Poets and Poetry Festival program that was held in a church in Sydney during the Festival of Sydney a few years ago, and the climax of the evening was Jenny Howard, God bless her, getting the whole congregation to sing I Love Aeroplane Jelly, which struck me as being very odd in a Presbyterian church on a Sunday night.
I made the jellies, aeroplane jellies. I used to do the books.
That's right. Why not?
So that was in the early stages before it got too big.
Yeah, they always get too big, don't they?
Well, these have been going since, well, the late 30s. And fortunately, you know, we've got a pretty good record. In this book, for instance, we've got things that go way back to 1939 in here. This particular page is 1954, which is Bimbo's Auto and Rabbit Stew when they were being made in our first little studio that we had at Bexley North in the garden of our house.
Why, that long-eared, four-legged, two-timer bunny has tricked me again. Yeah, I knew that. I was like that. And nobody gets his tummy blown out.
When we were started there, he used to sit in front of, you know, those old Oregon sound on film 16mm cameras? Eric used to sit in front of that in huge close-up and play back the soundtrack, and he'd sit there of the camera doing this.
Hello? What's this? Firecracker. Firecracker?
I don't think you necessarily have to know her. If you, like in character...
Yes, in the 50s, Bruce Perry came straight from school, actually, and he joined us when we were at 64 Elizabeth Street. The animation that he did for us in those early days was very, very good, and the department that we worked for, they were very pleased with it.
Billy Bunny was not very careful. He was thinking only of the cakes and the ice creams he was going to buy when...
That's the trouble. All the stuff I did when I was 18 was all right. It's sort of gone backwards ever since.
Billy Bunny, you must not play in the streets, especially around parked cars or trucks. But did Billy Bunny look where he was going? No. Did he slow down when nearing the curb? No. Hey, look out!
I put my own music on, so I learned how to compose chorales. And I heard this line of music I'd done played by 12 proper musicians from the Her Majesty's Pit Orchestra. Yeah, which is that.
So he did the music too.
I thought, that's the last bit of music I've ever written.
That's the safety whistle. Stop, look and listen.
Gus and I first met, all our studio was doing was making commercials.
It's easier to paint. It's easier to paint. It's easier to paint.
It's easier to paint with high gloss.
Drawing animation.
Yeah,
anything,
it was wonderful.
as long as we're making animation.
Of course, it's wonderful.
That's all we wanted.
You'll put
Put wings on your car when you stop at the sign. That's commercial.
It was the third one I ever worked on. Remember Pepsodent? Susie Q?
That's right, Susie Q. You wonder where the yellow went when you wash your teeth with Pepsodent.
Pepsodent.
Taco Fox was fed into your pop and to your pussy cat too. Taco Fox was fed into your pop. It's full of vitamins and it's true.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fair... Ugh, forget it.
There's a new coming every day, every day.
There's a new you coming every day.
Milk, helping a human body build around 3 billion cells a minute, bringing it more special protein, vitamins, calcium, more grade A materials in one package than any other single food. Drink her.
There's a new you coming every day, every day.
There's a new you coming every day.
Pour it down.
Drink it up,
Drink more milk every day. Let the change in you reveal to you.
Marcia,
John.
you've changed.
A new you every day. Every day. Louie the Fly, I'm Louie the Fly, straight from rubbish tip to you, spreading disease with the greatest of ease, straight from rubbish tip to you.
Oh, Mr. Foster. Oh, Mr. Pink.
Yes, Mr. Flea.
Oh, Mrs. Sparkles.
Yes, Mr. Sheen.
Do you think this game of football's here to stay?
Baked so crisp and feather light, packed in cellophane so bright.
And they hit so awfully hard. Oh, my word. It's a case of no holds barred. They do it in a very sporting way.
You are the most, dear Mr. Sheen, the most helpful man that I have ever seen.
What a flavor!
Sheer delight.
From the first delicious bite.
For an instant mirror sheen, to the surfaces you clean, wax and polish as you dust with Mr. Sheen.
Well, that's that. Now, the next slide I have... Hey, fellas, where are you going?
We're leaving now, Fred. We only came to see the commercial.
Well, any commercial is
what you're
manipulation
saying is that it
of
does
ideas.
exist. If it induces you to buy a certain product, it's a manipulation of your mind. And it doesn't have to be...
It's lifestyle conditioning.
Art is dull and void.
Don't trade your soul for society.
Don't trade your society for fairyland.
There's always been an argument between the craftsman and the artist. Where does craft end and where does art begin?
Retain your grasp on the truth or you're without life.
Oh, hold on to the magic art.
Hold on to the real world.
Hang on to rhyme.
Hang on to reason.
Attitudes change. There are different people coming into the field with new ideas. You know, expecting all that sort of thing. New looks at animation.
Art is elegant nuts and bolts.
Oh, that's a mechanical explanation to fit a machismo mind.
At that time, animation looked like becoming quite a popular art form. I think in the 60s, because of the idea of freer lifestyles generally, did give us, designers, a lot more opportunity as well. People were willing to accept different ideas, and we did a lot of experimental work.
Dusan Marek is an artist. This is his work. Mr. Marek's animated film, Adam and Eve, won the Grand Prix of the Australian Film Awards last month and will be a highlight of the Venice Film Festival next month. The characters created by Mr. Marek come to life as the film rolls. This is part of his award-winning film, Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is a symbolic animated film which tells a story of the beginning of human life. The small circles of life multiply. They will circle the earth. The Life on Earth will continue, the film story says, but only after a great atomic blast.
Transit was probably the most stimulating place that I could imagine ever existed in the film industry anywhere.
In Australia, we did, for example, Crazy Cat.
Little angel.
We also did the Beetle cartoon series.
Yeah.
Beetle Bailey.
Beetle Bailey!
Several other series for King Feature.
They did Lone Ranger.
Hey-ho, Silver! Danger is my business.
We learned a hell of a lot doing that.
Most of
the series animation done in Australia has an American soundtrack done in America and sent to Australia.
Well, a lot of people think
television.
that was done because we were cheaper, but that's not quite true. Well, certainly
There were people who were cheaper.
But there was a dearth of animators in America.
I now present my greatest invention, the moving picture. Lights out. First you'll see Lancelot rescuing a maiden in distress.
I can't see anything. I told you it wouldn't work.
Air Programs International was an international production company that, well, my husband and I set up in about 1958 or 59. And I think from the beginning, he always saw it as just that. That's an international production company that happened to be based in Sydney. There were a lot of people with a common aim who could see an Australian industry developing, and that was really what King Arthur was.
Are you just warming up the seat for you, sire?
That's better.
It is?
I bring bad news, sire.
You're telling me?
There's an anarchist operating in Camelot.
Here? What gives you that stupid idea? Now I know what gives you that stupid idea.
I've come to ask for an assistant, sire.
We can't afford it.
To help me protect you from the anarchist.
Well, then hadn't you better hire an assistant?
It was different, and it was very challenging because we didn't have the American experts to tell us how it's done, what it's done, how long should the brakes be, how does it work. We went in very raw, and a lot of young people worked on it.
Another one ready for action.
How are things your end?
No, fine. Just fine.
Now listen. Sir Jasper, the Camelot spy, needs an assistant.
Poor fool. I really pity whoever gets the job.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Me? Again? But I've got washing up to do. Please?
We were having fun. Drawings were thrown around to everyone. We were bouncing off each other. We were going out to lunch together. We were working all weekends. That was the enthusiasm, you know.
This is my new assistant.
Have you, vetted him?
Now, look, I'm a secret agent, not an animal doctor.
Isn't this taking the bodyguard bit a little far?
This is the seamy side of spying.
Hop in, quick, sire. The water looks great.
You'd better test it first.
Of course. I forgot. Delicious.
Dad, an underwater mine. What will the anarchists think of next?
It'll be difficult.
Sure looks like somebody sure cut through that there fence all right. Well, looky here! You Australians are so clever making all those classics for American television. Prime time, too. Sure wasn't nobody else doing it at that there time. Ask yourself this question. Who's doing it now? Hi-oh, Pewter!
Air Programs International doesn't exist anymore. And in the end, we had, I guess you could call it, an ideological difference with Hanna-Barbera. We had battled to build an Australian industry. And again, that sounds pretty trite, but it was a really long, hard road to go. And we lost a court case. In another way, we won, because we did continue to make programs.
The local company, Air Programs International, actually served an injunction on you to stop you taking their stuff.
That is true. No, they did try and place an injunction on us. This was taken to court and was successfully defended, and we won our point, and we were not here to damage API.
Let's consider what happened when the big companies came into Sydney. Because when the company...
Well, the big companies, when they came into Sydney, actually didn't affect what was going on, but created a lot of jobs for people who wanted to be animators.
Yes, certainly. They trained a lot of people.
And created far more animators in this country.
And suddenly there's this wonderful white god of animation, Bill Hanna himself, had sort of arrived at and suddenly we're all going to be working under entirely different situations. And we had model sheets and these characters that we'd only seen on television. We're actually going to draw the darn things. And...
Sounds like wolf howling out there.
Impossible, Wilma. The guidebook says there are no wolves in Roxylvania.
Those are werewolves.
Werewolves?
Werewolves are human beings with the power to change themselves into wolves.
Oh, how thrilling!
Boy, oh boy, this character could win the Academy Award. Watch this, Wilma. I'll bet I scare the daylights out of him. Open the door in the name of Count Rockula! What's the matter, Fred? Something you ate? Wise guy.
There are just not enough people and trained in Hollywood to do it, and there is also a cost factor involved.
Yes, I was going to say, that's the fact that there's not enough people in the States is not the only reason, is it?
No,
it's
that
because
is not.
It is cheaper.
It is cheaper.
Wilma, look at this. My Frankenstone fell asleep.
What? Fred, would you believe this? Oh, no.
Come on, you sleeping beauties. Wake up.
I know how to wake them. Dinner's ready.
Coming, dear. Whoa. Specials. That's all we ever do around. Specials. That's all we ever do around here. All we ever do is specials. Like Scooby-Doo, Pink Panther, specials. Flintstone Wolf, Donkey Kong, Laverne, Valley, Daniel Boone, Gulliver's Black Beauty, the 20,000 Years of the Crazy Comedy.
But as it developed, after they set up in Australia, it seemed to be just sort of time surfing. It was like bottling pickles.
And you were paid by the foot of film. I mean, this amount of foot got you this amount of dollars. So it was obviously more beneficial to, helping you pay your rent and your grocery bills if you got a lot of these feet done. And in order to do that, there were a lot of shortcuts that you could take. And if you took shortcuts, then you really weren't sort of forwarding the cause of animation itself,
I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
No, and it never will. But it's the man's world, not the horse's. Keep your head high and proud. Remember this, and hopefully you will belong to a master who cares.
When I got approached by Bill Hanna after I left API, when I got approached by him to come out and talk to them in Los Angeles to start the Sydney studios, I thought it would be superb because not only are they the biggest producer of animation in the world, but they're also the biggest distributor. So surely we can sell some Australian product. And while I was there, I was there for about 3.5 years directing. We submitted about 17 concepts to the US market. None of them got accepted. That was enough to give up. I went back to commercials.
Never was an island of plenty. It enjoyed an ideal climate that resulted in an abundance of fruit and vegetables, plenty of game for hunting, and its rivers were alive with fish.